Have you ever noticed how the men you fall for always feel a little distant? They pull you in, make you feel something powerful, but never quite let you in. It's like loving a ghost. He's there, but not really there. You tell yourself this time it's different. He's different. He just needs time, space, understanding. You think maybe if I love him enough, he'll finally open up. But deep down, you already know how this story ends. They always begin the same way, with intensity. A spark that feels like destiny. You feel seen, understood, maybe even chosen. And for a moment, it feels like you found something real. But soon, you start to sense the distance. He's there when he wants to be, gone when you need him most. He listens, but never reveals. You share your soul, he gives you silence. And yet, that silence becomes addictive. Because your mind begins to chase the meaning behind it. You start reading between the lines. Every pause, every text, every little sign. You try to decode him. Not because he's mysterious, but because you've confused emotional absence with emotional depth. You see, many women don't fall for emotionally unavailable men by accident. They fall because, on some level, the emotional distance feels familiar. It mirrors something buried deep in the past. A father who was distant. A mother who was emotionally unpredictable. A childhood where love had to be earned. So now, when a man shows you the same inconsistency, you don't see a red flag. You see home. You see something you were wired to fix. But here's the truth no one tells you. It's not love you're chasing. It's closure. You're not trying to connect with him. You're trying to finish the story your heart never got to finish as a child. You're trying to prove to that younger version of you that if you just love enough, stay long enough, heal enough, someone will finally stay. But he won't, because he was never meant to. The emotionally unavailable man plays a role. Not as your soulmate, but as your mirror. He shows you the part of you that still believes love must hurt. That affection must be earned. That intimacy must be chased. And until you see that truth clearly, you'll keep repeating the pattern, falling for men who awaken your wounds instead of healing them. Soft piano begins to fade in, the tone shifts, slightly reflective. You see, the pain of loving someone who can't love you back isn't just heartbreak. It's awakening, because it forces you to face a hard truth. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you're used to. And the real healing begins the day you realize that what felt like passion was actually your trauma trying to feel familiar again. He looks confident, composed, maybe even charming. But if you look closer, you'll see it in his eyes. A quiet detachment. A kind of emptiness he hides behind confidence, humor, or control. He knows how to make you feel desired. He knows what to say to keep you close. But just when you start to think you're getting through to him, he disappears. He stops texting. He cancels plans. He turns cold, and you're left wondering what you did wrong. The answer: nothing. You didn't do anything wrong. You just touched something he's been running from his entire life: intimacy. Blackheart the truth about emotionally unavailable men. These men don't fear love. They fear dependence. They fear losing control, losing power, losing themselves in another person. At some point in their past, maybe in childhood, maybe in a painful relationship, they learned that love equals pain, that vulnerability equals danger. So they built walls. Beautiful, polished, convincing walls. They can touch you, flirt with you, even adore you. But they can never meet you. Because meeting you would require meeting themselves. And that's the one thing they can't do. You keep trying to understand him, to find the key that unlocks his heart. But every time you get close, he pulls away. You think he's punishing you, but in truth, he's protecting himself. He doesn't know how to handle your depths. Your emotional honesty terrifies him. You speak the language of connection. He only knows the language of avoidance. Performing art's the emotional loop. Here where it becomes a trap. A psychological loop that keeps both of you stuck. When he withdraws, you chase. When you chase, he retreats further. And that space, that unbearable silence, becomes the drug. Because you don't just miss him. You miss the version of yourself that believed you could fix him. You start equating the pain of waiting with the hope of love. Every text becomes a reward. Every small effort from him feels monumental. You begin surviving on emotional crumbs, mistaking them for a feast. And the cruelest part, he senses your empathy. He feels your willingness to understand. So he keeps giving you just enough to stay. A message when you're about to leave. A confession when you start pulling away. A tear, a touch, a promise, just enough to reset your hope. And once you're hooked again, he returns to his silence. That's not love. That's control. Subtle, invisible, psychological. The tone softens, as if speaking directly to the listener's soul. But this isn't about blaming him. Because under his detachment lies a child. One who learned that being open leads to being abandoned. One who decided long ago that it's safer to feel nothing at all than to feel everything and lose it. He doesn't know how to receive love. Because he's never learned that love doesn't demand safety. It demands presence. And you keep offering him love as if it could save him. But love can't reach someone who's built a fortress around their own heart. Candle the mirror effect. Here's the dark truth. Emotionally unavailable men often find women who are emotionally overavailable. Women who love deeply, who heal, who nurture, who see potential where there's only pain. It's not coincidence. It's magnetism. Your light seeks his shadow. His silence seeks your understanding. You both complete the story the other refuses to face. He represents the wound you're trying to heal. And you represent the love he never learned to accept. A deep pause, the music fades softer, reflective. But one of you has to break the cycle. Because if you do, it will keep repeating. Again and again. You know he's not right for you. You know he'll never change. And yet you stay. Not because you're weak, but because leaving feels like death. There's a part of you quiet, hidden, that still believes maybe this time it'll be different. Maybe this time he'll realize your worth, see your love, and finally choose you the way you've chosen him. But he doesn't. He never does. And so you keep rewriting the same chapter, thinking that if you love him just right, the ending will somehow change. Broken heart, emotional addiction, the silent prison. Most people think addiction only comes from substances. But emotional addiction is far more powerful. Because it doesn't destroy your body. It destroys your sense of self. Here and how it works. When he pulls away, you feel anxiety. A deep panic that floods your body with cortisol. You crave connection like oxygen. And then when he finally texts back or shows affection, your brain releases dopamine, that rush of relief. Over time, this creates a pattern. Pain, right arrow, relief, right arrow, pain, right arrow, relief. It's the same psychological loop as gambling or drugs. You're not addicted to him. You're addicted to the high that comes from the hope that he might change. And hope is the most dangerous drug of all. You start calling it love, but it's really withdrawal. You call it loyalty, but it's really fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of starting over. Fear that maybe, deep down, you're not lovable enough to find something better. That's what emotional unavailability does to you. It convinces you that you need to earn love. Candle the inner child at war. Every time he withdraws, your adult self says, "I deserve more." But your inner child whispers, "Don't leave, maybe this time you'll be enough." That inner voice isn't naive. It's wounded. It still remembers what it felt like to have to fight for affection, to please people just to feel safe, to confuse attention with love. So when you meet someone emotionally unavailable, your subconscious says, this feels familiar. Not safe, not loving, just familiar. And the familiar always feels like home. Even when it hurts. Scull the cost of self-abandonment. Staying with someone who cannot love you slowly teaches you to betray yourself. You stop speaking up. You stop asking for what you need. You start shrinking just to keep the peace. You call it compromise, but it's really self-erasure. Piece by piece, you silence your truth to protect his comfort. Until one day you realize you've become a ghost in your own life. You used to dream. You used to glow. Now you're just surviving. That's what loving an unavailable man does. It kills you gently. Soft silence, a breath, the narrator's tone turns reflective. But here's the paradox. This pain, the very one that breaks you, is also the one that can wake you up. Because the moment you realize you were never chasing love, you were chasing healing, that's the moment everything changes. Crescent moon, the beginning of awakening. Healing begins when you stop asking, "Why doesn't he love me?" and start asking, "Why am I okay with someone who does?" You begin to see the truth. You weren't addicted to him. You were addicted to the version of you that kept hoping you could fix the past. And once you see that clearly, the spell starts to break. You start responding differently. You stop chasing closure. You start giving that energy back to yourself. A deep, slow pause, the voice lowers, intimate and calm. The truth is, you don't need him to open up. You need to stop knocking on closed doors. You don't need to prove your worth. You need to remember it. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. Not to punish him, but to return to yourself. One day you wake up, and you no longer crave his messages. You no longer wait for his name to appear on your phone. You no longer measure your worth by how much of his love you can earn. That's the day you realize you're not healing from him. You're healing from yourself. From the version of you who believed love had to be chased. Who thought being chosen meant being worthy. Who confused attachment with connection. That woman served her purpose. She taught you how deep you can love. But now she must be released. Candle the truth about healing. Healing isn't loud. It's not a grand announcement or a sudden moment of clarity. It's quiet. It's the silence after chaos. The stillness after years of chasing ghosts. It's when you stop begging for love and start listening to your own soul. At first, it feels empty, like standing in a room that used to echo with his voice. But slowly, the emptiness becomes peace. The silence becomes sacred. Because in that silence, you finally meet the one person who never left. Yourself, reclaiming the self. You begin to see how much energy you poured into someone who was never meant to hold it. Every unanswered text, every second-guessing thought, every tear you cried in silence was never wasted, because all of it was leading you here. You were never losing him. You were being redirected. Back home, to the woman you abandoned in your pursuit of being enough. Now she's waiting for you. Stronger, wiser, softer. Waxing crescent moon, the dark feminine awakening. You see, true feminine power isn't loud. It doesn't beg, chase, or prove. It withdraws. It observes. It chooses. The dark feminine doesn't ask to be loved. She embodies love. She doesn't seek validation. She becomes her own reflection. And when you stand in that energy, you stop attracting men who drain you. Because your boundaries become your shield. And your peace becomes your filter. You no longer crave intensity. You crave clarity. You no longer want passion that burns. You want connection that grounds. That's growth. That's evolution. That's liberation. Soft ambient tones swell like sunrise after a long night. You finally understand that the emotionally unavailable man was never your punishment. He was your mirror. He came to show you the parts of yourself that still needed your love. And once you gave that love to yourself, his purpose ended. He was never the destination. He was the doorway. Dove becoming whole again. Now you move differently. You love differently. You see differently. You no longer chase potential. You no longer romanticize pain. You no longer mistake chaos for chemistry. You begin to attract calm. Because you have become calm, you begin to attract honesty. Because you have stopped lying to yourself, you begin to attract depth. Because you finally found your own. Voice softens, almost a whisper. This is what freedom feels like. Not excitement, not validation, but peace. Peace with what didn't happen. Peace with who didn't stay. Peace with what you had to become. To finally love yourself right. Rose closing monologue. So the next time you meet a man who feels distant, don't try to fix him. Don't try to prove your love. Just observe and ask yourself, is this connection expanding me or is it repeating me? Because love isn't supposed to feel like waiting. It's supposed to feel like rest. And when you find that kind of love, you'll know it, because it won't feel like a storm. It'll feel like coming home. The piano fades, a faint echo. You were never hard to love. You just kept offering it to those who couldn't feel it.